Welcome to lesson 11. We're going to be shifting gears today, literally. So before we start shifting gears, go ahead and do a self-reflection. At this point, you should be comfortable with straight line weave, offset weave, U-turns, figure eight, everything that we've done so far, because when we're shifting gears, that requires us to be a little faster speed. And with the faster speed, inherently implies more danger. So understanding how to do things like turning, stopping, U-turns, and avoiding obstacles, that's all a prerequisite to this. When it comes to shifting gears, one of the things to be aware of is the sequential shifting pattern. We talked about this a little bit before. I'm going to refresh your memory on this. So this is neutral, falls between first and second gear. Everything else is one at a time. So you have first on the bottom, neutral, second. And you can push all the way through neutral to get to second. If you're in first, you can power through neutral to go straight to second without stopping in neutral. But everything else, you can't power through those gears. You have to go one at a time. So you have to click your shifter, let go of it. Click your shifter and let go of it. And that will put you from second to third, and then from third to fourth. For shifting gears today, we're going to be focusing primarily on first and second, and maybe a little bit of third gear. But instead of using the cones that we've been doing, we're going to get the cones out of the way, and we're going to use the same area that we use our slow straight line, our long straightaway. We're going to use that so that we can practice getting a little bit faster and shift some gears, and then practice our U-turn some more, get back on that slow straight line again, but not so slow. We're going to get up to a speed where we're comfortable shifting. I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to pass it on to you to practice. As you can see here, I've already moved all of my cones out of the way. I've got a long straightaway. I'm going to be focusing primarily on first, second, and maybe a little bit of third gear, depending on how much space we have. But third gear is not a requirement. Once you learn how to shift gears, you can get through all of the gears just fine. So you can only shift gears if your clutch is pulled, which is why you pull your clutch and you can drop it into gear. If I were to try to drop my bike into first gear and my clutch is not pulled, it'll immediately stall because it's catching all the gears. So, same rule applies when you're traveling. While you're traveling, you're going to take your throttle off, you're going to move your throttle to 0, you're going to pull your clutch in, and then you're going to shift your bike through neutral into second. This is what you should probably expect during your first attempt at shifting gears. It's a little clunky, so we're going to go through and real methodically, no throttle, clutch, shift, release your clutch, back on throttle. And in that order one more time, I'm going to do it again. We are just traveling straight. We're going to come off the throttle, pull the clutch up to second gear, release your clutch, back on the throttle again. And when you get that order of operations down, now you can start speeding that up. You want that to be as smooth as possible. So coming off of your clutch and coming back onto your clutch is going to have to be smooth, but we can speed that up. So throttle, clutch, shift, clutch, throttle. That was a little smoother. We're going to do it again. About that same speed. We're going to practice at that speed for a little while. Back in our straight line. We're getting to speed. We're going to go throttle, clutch, shifter, clutch, throttle. And now I'm in second gear. That's the baseline of upshifting. Upshifting can be the same no matter what speed you're going, as long as you're ready to shift. If your bike gets louder and louder and louder and louder, shift and it'll calm down. Upshifting, remember, throttle, clutch, shift, clutch, throttle. Throttle, clutch, shift, clutch, throttle. We're basically making a little C shape with our actions here. So on the right, left, foot, left, right. And that's how you upshift. And you can do that really fast. It'll start looking like this. You can do it all at the same time if you get really good at it. And now we're going to talk about downshifting, because you've seen me downshift quite a bit here, but I haven't talked about it at all. I don't want to overload you with too much information too quickly. So now you can do downshifting really clunky to start, and that's perfectly okay. And that's the exact same method that we did for upshifting. So that's release your throttle, pull in your clutch, drop the shifter down into whatever gear is below your current gear. So let's say you're in second gear, but you want to go to first. You would release your throttle, bring your throttle back to 0, pull your clutch in, drop from second to first, and then come off your clutch slowly and then give it some throttle. But that coming off of the clutch and giving it throttle, that goes back to how you take off from a start, right? So when you're taking off from a start, you can give it a little throttle as you come off, and that'll get you going. Now, if you're going to downshift really slowly, you can do the same technique. So I'm going to clutch, drop it to first, and then marry that throttle and that clutch so that it's kind of smooth as I'm coming off my clutch. And you're going to practice upshifting. So throttle, clutch, shifts, clutch, throttle, and now we're in second gear. You're going to want to get that as smooth as possible, because as we come around here, we're still in second gear. We haven't downshifted yet. We're going to go to third gear. So I'm going to get the straightaway here. Throttle, clutch, shift, clutch, throttle. Now I'm in third. But I have a turn coming up over here, and I'm in third gear, and I don't want to be in third gear to make this. So I'm going to come off my throttle, clutch, downshift into second, come off my clutch really slowly. And this whole time I'm doing this, if you notice, I'm looking up. I'm looking where I want to be, not at my clutch. Because if I'm looking down, I could easily hit one of these curbs if I'm not paying attention to it. Downshifting is the same pretty much. The principle there is you're going to come off your throttle, clutch, you're going to shift wherever you need to go to, come off your clutch slowly, and that'll complete your shift. That's the baseline. You're going to realize by doing that baseline, it's going to be clunky and you're going to be bouncing around a little bit. This is why having a large open area to practice is important, so you don't run into obstacles, because you're going to be focusing your attention elsewhere. One more time, I'm going to demonstrate a clunky shift and what it could look like, and then I'm going to demonstrate what smooth shifting looks like, so that you know what your starting point is going to be, and you know your goal, you know what you want to be at. So here we go. Alright, so that was a shift from first to second. Now we're going to do second to third using a longer straightaway here. Those shifts were a little clunky, and now I'm going to demonstrate some downshifting that's kind of clunky as well. So right now we're in third gear. I'm going to downshift. There we go. I don't know if you can hear that, but the bike was not happy about that. I'm going to find me another straightaway, and I'm going to do a couple more clunky downshifts. And I say clunky not as a bad term, because this is how you're going to start. While you're learning how to shift, this may happen to you, and there's a really good chance that your bike is going to sound like this when you downshift. Or even worse, let's say you're taking your time and you pull your clutch, put it in first, and then drop your clutch. I still downshifted. Now my bike wasn't super happy about that. If you can hear the clattering, that was my ABS kicking on. And one last demonstration so we can end this lesson and you can review your notes is I'm going to show you the goal of where you want to be at. So you have your starting point, and you can practice your shifting, make it as smooth as possible so that you can start shifting like this. And there we go. Practice makes progress. Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice can make perfect. When things get awkward, when you're trying to learn a new skill, that's the point where a lot of people quit, because your brain isn't wired to do certain motor functions that you've never done before in your life. So while you're learning new motor functions, like the relationship between your clutch and your throttle, it's okay to be frustrated, and it's okay to not get that right away, and you're going to have problems with that if you've never done that before. Eventually that will go away. Your brain's going to rewire itself, create some synapses to fire, and give you that muscle memory to do what you need to do. And that's all normal. So take your time with that. Practice this one quite a bit. I understand shifting is going to be a foreign concept for a lot of people, especially if all you've ever driven is automatic. But this far into the game, you've already gotten comfortable with the weight of your bike and how to operate it and how to navigate and weave and do some maneuvers and some U-turns and stuff like that. But if you want to get out on the public roads and you want to ride your bike on the streets, mastering shifting is going to be the most important thing that you can do. All right, go practice, and I'll see you in the next lesson.